Welcome back to the show. I'm so glad you're here talking about the power of momentum today. This is incredibly important. I guarantee you, no matter how successful you are, the things you've learned, you're at least going to get a nugget out of this episode. You're going to get something. That is my mission. You're going to get something you can take back to your week, your day, this next month, and really focus in and get more momentum in the areas that absolutely matter to you. There is incredible power of momentum. You've felt it before in your life where things are really gaining speed in the direction you desire for something to happen. But a lot of people have opportunity. I think all of us have opportunity to benefit from even more momentum in the right areas of our lives. And so I want to talk about this. I'm speaking to myself, of course, as well. Every time I teach something, it's something I'm constantly trying to live out and can improve at as well. So, hey, by the way, all resources are at resoluteman.com. All 28 episodes, video and audio. Also, YouTube, Be Courageous, has the Resolute Man podcast and the Courageous Parenting podcast and other videos. I encourage you to subscribe there. Subscribe on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen, so you never miss a weekly show on the Resolute Man podcast. I also want to point you to the Resolute Manifesto. Test your masculinity against the 8 principles in that free download there. Make sure you have that. It was so well thought out. In fact, I was thinking about it for years until it finally came out, and now it's there for you for free. So I highly encourage you to go get that. Don't just listen and forget to do that. Make sure you get it. Trust me, it will be worthy. And if you ever want to find out what it takes to work with me on a one-on-one basis, I've decided to take on 8 clients, and you can see what all that is about at resoluteman.com if you want to be one of those 8. There's already some filling up, and it'll be full before you know it. So check that out there, and you can inquire. Hey, momentum is so powerful, but here's a big disruptor of momentum is distractions. Did you know, I read this Harvard business study a while back, many years ago actually, and it takes approximately 17 minutes to get back to the level of focus you were at before you got distracted with something. So meaning there's a momentum in your focus on anything, project you're working on, reading, thinking about something, solving a problem, writing, whatever work you do. So that notification pops up. You get a text message. All of these things are going to cause you to be distracted. And you might think that you're plowing through and you're getting things done at a high productivity level, but there's opportunity if you're constantly getting notifications. So you've got to shut off the notifications. You've got to shut off your phone. You got to create boundaries. And you can't always do that, right? Because sometimes we need to be responsive and so forth, and certain things we do. But I would block out in your schedule when you're working certain chunks of time that are protected when you really need to do that deep thinking. We need to write something. We need to really solve a problem and think through something. When you're really doing your art, your creative work, or whatever the thing is that takes that level of focus, you want to make sure you're not getting notified. Are you getting buzzed all the time on your phone? Are you getting buzzed all the time on your computer? You know, that stuff needs to be minimized. Absolutely. And some of it's still needed, but then you need to turn that stuff off when you're in your focused time, because there's incredible power. When you stay focused in a direction for a long period of time, you're going to get incredible momentum. You're going to get favor of momentum as well. And so it's really important to think through that. What could be done? What is possible if you got that focused? You know, I remember a time I was working in an organization. There was 40 of us. We were all entrepreneurs, but doing relatively the same thing across the United States. And I really learned something that was valuable starting early and starting with my thinking time first. See, what you start the day with really makes a big difference. Obviously, the spiritual side, you want to pray, read your Bible, ideally, but then actually being undistracted before anybody's contacting you and have a game plan for your day. And when is that, really focused time going to be? When are you going to be getting back to people? How can you leverage time in the best possible way of not being constantly disrupted? And then man, getting the hardest things done at the beginning of the day, getting momentum with the things you don't want to do at the beginning of your day is absolutely crucial. See, if we don't do the hardest things in the beginning of the day, you're subconsciously thinking about those things all day. And if you're putting them off day by day by day, and the end of the week they're building up, then you're really losing productivity, but you're also losing enjoyment of what you're doing, and you're losing the benefit of momentum too. See, part of the psychology of momentum is that you are feeling good and you're building confidence towards the projects and things you have to get done. And it's impossible actually to build the confidence and the energy towards them if you're procrastinating those harder things. And so you just have to absolutely charge at the beginning of the day. And I literally identify what is the thing I least want to do. And a lot of times it's an important thing that I least want to do, and I tackle those things. A lot of times for me, it would be around planning something, be around organizing something. It'd be around actually getting down to it and writing. That's less like me anymore because I do so much writing every week for the ministry. But in the old me, when I had different things going on, I hadn't worked that muscle so much, I was a good writer, but I really didn't want to do it. Now that's changed for me. But you want to tackle those things that are hardest first, and you're going to see incredible momentum, because then all the other things, it just kind of flows the rest of the day. It's really an incredible thing. A lot of you listening, you know this, but you don't always follow this, right? I can say that's true for me too. I don't always follow it. But man, when I do, it's so worthy. Okay, here's another thing to look at your week. I've done this for probably 15 years, which has been transformational, which is when you look at, let's say you work Monday through Friday, my mission is to get as much done Monday through Thursday as other people do doing the similar thing as me, Monday through Friday. And it's not so I can take Friday off. It's maybe sometimes, but it's actually to be able to work differently on Fridays and in a more intellectual way, a more visionary way on Fridays, because I get everything done. Now, if I don't get way more done and I'm not super productive Monday through Thursday, then Friday becomes just a normal day because I got to get all the other stuff done. But that's motivating, and I front load the week. A lot of people, they will come into Mondays with that weekend drag, and they will be least productive on Mondays. Instead, I make sure I have my purpose, my goals, some of my action lists already clear cut before the weekend. So by the time, so I can't wait for the weekend because I'm going to enjoy it with my family, but I also can't wait for Monday, and it's already planned out. And I'm going to tackle Monday and work hardest. If there's any day of the week that I work the hardest and have for the last 15 years, it is Monday. Mondays, knock it out of the park. Right? Because how much better now are you feeling about the week? How much more capable, how much more confident are you feeling about the rest of the week? You're feeling so much better. And on that Monday, you started with the hardest things you don't want to do. So those are now not procrastinating into the week. It's so easy to feel tired on Monday and to do the easier things and make yourself busy and, talk extra long with people that you're working with and things like that. But that is the norm. You never want to be the norm. The norm never excels to the point you probably desire. And it's not just about excelling, it's about creating freedom and space for the things that are more important to you and for your family. So it's really, really important to tackle that. So Mondays work really hard, Tuesdays as well. And by the time Wednesday hits, I feel like I am just thriving in the week if I do this correctly, if you do this correctly. And if I get the privilege of spending Fridays how I want to, because I nailed it Monday through Thursday, then I take that privilege. But I punish myself if I did not. If I'm just kind of doing a normal, what everybody would say, wow, you're doing a really good job, that's a productive week, look how effective you are, normal routine, I'm not going to take my Fridays in the way I like to. Now, if I'm able to take my Friday, and everybody has different jobs and things they do, right? So it might be a different day for you, but take it for what you will. But Fridays, when I'm humming Monday through Thursday and super effective, the first thing I work on Fridays is dreaming, is vision, is no technology. is being alone somewhere and just really working not so much in what I'm doing, but working on it from a leadership, visionary, dreaming perspective. I almost said planning. There is some planning in there, but it's not the dread kind of planning. It's the exciting kind of planning. And it really, when I shifted to that, it became revolutionary because my energy's boosting. I got so much done Monday through Thursday, and I'm able to start in this way. If you want to know the whole process I developed, hey, I wanted to just take a moment to talk about the 10 Million Legacies movement and one other thing with you, and then we'll get back to the episode. We feel a conviction and passion in our hearts to have an indelible impact with Christian resources that are biblical but relevant to the growing and changing issues of today. See, parenting today, it takes way more intentionality than previous few generations. It is a whole different ballgame. It's unprecedented times in terms of the attack on children by way, mostly, of technology and the agendas at a large scale going down through all the devices, media, and everywhere else. So it's so important to have resources for parents, for fathers, for moms, and so forth. And so we're passionately doing this. We have the Courageous Parenting Podcast. We have the Resolute Man Podcast. We have BeCourageousMinistry.org, where everything is. Obviously, the ResoluteMan.com site, the CourageousParenting.com site, and even the CourageousMom.com. There's 5 different courses. There's a book. And there's projects that we need to get done. There's a Courageous Parenting book we need to finish. There's the Resolute Man book that needs even more work. Right? But I'm super excited about that. So part of how we're able to do this full time and put all this stuff out and keep everything going and support our family as well from the ministry, because it's a full-time effort, is people give. So if the Lord prompts you, BeCourageousMinistry.org, you hit the give button in the menu. That would be amazing. What we really need is 10 more consistent monthly givers. That would be incredible. Of course, the one-time gifts are incredible too, and they're very, very helpful. So both are great. If the Spirit prompts you, feel free. No obligation at all. And the other thing is the Parenting Mentor Program. Usually it's moms that are instigating and getting husbands to purchase the Parenting Mentor Program. Not always. There's some incredible guys that have actually initiated this, and it always impresses me when that happens. But you will not regret it. It is a foundational, profoundly helpful course, biblically based, self-paced, you and your wife can take it, that helps you get aligned in your marriage to deal with the assault on the family head on, proactively, one day at a time, to really know how to disciple your kids, to know how to reach their hearts so you keep their hearts in the teenage years when it's so important. It's never too late, by the way, if you already have teenagers. The course, all seasons of parenting, it helps people. And I would just really encourage you to initiate. You probably will look like a hero when you do that. If your wife listens to the Courageous Parenting Podcast, or you and her listen to it, she knows about the Parenting Mentor Program. And if you guys haven't taken it yet, if you initiated and said, we should take this, you might just look like a hero. No joke, right? Because this thing, over 3,000 parents have gone through this, and their legacies are impacted forever for it. So I encourage you to do that. All right, we'll get back to the show. The Art of Clear Thinking. I believe it's in the first 3 episodes. The first episode is What is a Man? Crucial episode. And I think it's number 2 or 3 is the art, or maybe 4, the Art of Clear Thinking. That's what I do on Fridays. And it's so good to do it too before you go into the weekend with your family. When you're really able to get energized about what you do, because we all have things we don't like to do. We have all in the things we do have challenges, difficulties, and those kinds of things. But man, Fridays, if you deserved it and you're able to really work on your career, on your business from a more visionary dream excitement level, you're getting a clarity. And if you go through the process I teach in that other episode, you're going through a clarity process and a productivity process, an energizing process for yourself, that you start to realize how much more capacity you have. You start to realize how much more potential for what you're doing has. You start to think, because of course in the process you're including God, prayers involved with it, journals involved with it, writing and brainstorming and so forth, solving a problem. Sometimes I'm just working on one problem, but these are the kinds of problems that nobody has solved. Like I remember being in a company that was over 60 years old. I was an entrepreneur in that space, but I remember thinking about a problem that everybody's tried to solve and nobody's really been able to solve it. And out of those times, I actually did solve it. And I didn't solve it alone. I became an instigator of an idea, and my leaders helped me solve it. But it was really incredible. Some of those things became adopted by that company later on. But I think it's so important to do that. Now, the rest of Fridays, I would either have the privilege of working on my dreams, other side projects, another revenue source, another piece to what I'm doing that is not the minutia, but is more innovative and new and fresh. And so that was the day I would do that. And sometimes on Fridays too, I'd hold it for special meetings with people that energize me and so forth, phone calls, and really try and schedule those on Fridays. That was my rhythm. But I found that doing that process enabled me to get way more done, enjoy it more, and be so fresh for the weekend and fresh for Monday. Again, what am I doing on Friday? I'm planning my Monday also. So I'm planning the future. I'm working on getting everything dialed so the weekend's great with my family, and that Monday kicks off in an incredible way. I have a encouraging scripture for us to think about. Okay? I think this will be very encouraging to hear. It's in Proverbs 3, 1 through 8. It says, "My son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and years of life and peace they will add to you." Don't we want more peace, right? Putting God at the center of our agenda, of our work, of our day, of our activities, and so forth. Asking for his wisdom and putting the hard thing first and what those things are, including him in these things, will give you peace. But it says, do not forget my teaching. Well, if we're not reading the word, we're not going to be remembering the teaching very well. Okay, and then it says in verse 3, let not steadfast love and faithfulness forsake you. Faithfulness forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Right? So there's the memorization of scripture that's so important. So you will find favor and good success in the sight of God and man. See, awesome, God, but man too. Finding success and favor. And here is how it happens, right? Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. How often are we going on our own strength, going on our own understanding, just trying to get momentum for momentum's sake for our own gains? But no. This is trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lead on your own understanding. God is counterintuitive. He will help you, especially on those Fridays when you have that thinking time. He'll reveal to you things that are counter to normal, the normal ways of doing things even sometimes. I've had so many innovations come out of those Fridays because I got so much done during the week and I took that time. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make straight your paths. Don't we want our paths to be straight on the very best path possible? This is a promise from God. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord. That's a respect for his authority in your life. That's not a dread fear. That's an awesome God fear right there, right? And then it says, and turn away from evil. Turn away from evil. When no one's looking, is there evil you need to turn away from? That causes you, because you're not doing that, it causes you not to read the word, not to be close to God. That it would be a detriment to success in anything, real success. It will be healing to your flesh and refreshment to your bones. Do you need refreshment right now? Do you need healing to your bones? Not in a physical sense, but in a psychological sense. Do you have peace and a refreshment and a joy about yourself despite circumstances because you're clinging so close to the Lord, relying on his wisdom, and he's helping you get momentum in your work and life and all the things that truly matter? So I thought this scripture was so relevant. You can go read it yourself, Proverbs 3, 1 through 8. See, there is a power of momentum. It's not like it becomes like 1 + 1 + 1 = 3, right? But there's something special about momentum that defies math. It's like 1 + 1 + 1 becomes 5 because of the benefit of momentum. You know what I mean? And so a lot of people are in this constant distraction mode. You have to fight for your focus. You have to fight for your best thinking. You have to fight for doing your best work. Bring your art to bear so you can impact and have a contribution in the world that matters. And so also you can be there for your family and you're not always distracted on your phone and these kinds of things. You're becoming a disciplined man, and you can turn things on and off because of your effectiveness as you go through the week. So the power of momentum, wherever you're at, I challenge you to try some of these things. And most importantly, turn off your notifications. Turn off as many as you possibly can. Have time block spots in your days where nothing can distract you. You're not going to let anything come in the way of your focus unless it's a real emergency from your family or something like that. Again, go to resoluteman.com. If you like these episodes, please share them. It's important we grow the podcast right now. The podcast is the tip of the spear for the Resolute Man movement, helping men reject passivity, stand for truth, and lead unapologetically while loving others well. It is so needed, because the enemy knows how to get to the family, and that is to take out the men, is to cause them to become passive because they have guilt in their life, they have challenges in their life, they don't feel close to God, and they feel like they can't spiritually lead. So listen to some of the other episodes about spiritual leadership and things like that. I think if you're listening to these episodes on a regular basis, it's going to be a catalyst, a little bit of accountability, and spur you on in directions that are edifying for you. But you know what's more important than you is your wife and your family. The team that you lead at home is far more important than any other team you'll ever lead outside of your home. So don't forget that. Thanks for joining me.